Okay, imagine this. A really secluded island escape. We're talking about a place where the absolute titans of the Gilded Age, the Morgans, Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, could just completely get away from it all.
Their industrial empires, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. It was this incredibly exclusive spot for recreation, these amazing cottages. But, and this is the wild part, it might have also been where the secret foundations for our modern U.S. financial system were laid.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
So today, that's what we're diving into, the Jekyll Island Club. We're going to unpack, how it started, its role in that huge financial moment that honestly still affects us, and how it went from this ultra-private playground to, well, a historic resort you can actually visit now.
Right. And to walk you through it, we've basically synthesized information from a reliable public source that covers the whole history. Our goal here is really to pull out the most fascinating bits, connect the dots for you, and give you the key insights into this amazing place.
Sort of the highlights reel, but with the important context.
Exactly. It's like a little snapshot of American economic history, social history, just kind of hiding out there on the coast.
So where did the idea even come from? How did it kick off?
Well, it starts with a guy named Newton Finney. He apparently suggested to his brother-in-law, John Eugene de Bignon, hey, let's get Jekyll Island.
Just like that. Buy an island.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The plan was, buy it, then market it to rich northern businessmen as this exclusive winter getaway. Smart move, actually.
Hasn't worked out, but...
It did. In 1886, they bought the whole island from Dubignon, paid $125,000.
Okay, $125,000. That sounds like, well, not nothing, but maybe not island money today.
But back then, you got to adjust for inflation. That's like roughly $3.1 million in 2017 dollars. So, yeah, a serious chunk of change, a real coup.
Wow. Okay, so they have the island. How does it become the club?
So the formal step was incorporating. They became the Jekyll Island Club, spelled with an E, interestingly, on December 9, 1885.
Uh-huh.
And they structured it through stock. They put out 100 shares, sold them to 50 people, $600 a share.
$600 again? Context?
Right. That $600 in 1885 is something like $15,000 a share in 2017 money.
Yeah.
So a pretty hefty buy-in, definitely signaling exclusivity from day one.
And finding those 50 buyers wasn't hard, I'm guessing, given Finney's plan?
No trouble at all. The membership list reads like, well, basically the Forbes list of the era. Henry Hyde, Marshall Field, J.P. Morgan himself, Joseph Pulitzer, William K. Vanderbilt, all those guys.
The absolute titans, the guys running American industry and finance.
That's them. But, having the members is one thing. They still had this largely undeveloped island. Turning that into a luxury club, that was the real challenge.
Right. Not exactly turnkey.
Not at all. They got presidents in place quickly, Lloyd Astonwald and Henry Howland, and they hired top talent. Charles A. Alexander designed the clubhouse, which was pretty grand. And Horace William Shaler Cleveland did the landscape architecture, planned the grounds. They were really building a whole environment.
Must have been a massive project. When did it actually open?
Well, the clubhouse was finished by November 1st, 1887. And they officially opened for the first season on January 21st, 1888.
You can just picture that opening day, can't you? All these famous families arriving.
Oh, yeah, to their brand new winter escape.
So once they were there in this gilded cage, as it's sometimes called, what was daily life like? What was the vibe?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, compared to some other clubs back then, which might have been more strictly business or men only.
Right. Stuffy.
Yeah, maybe a bit. Jekyll was different. It had a real family-oriented atmosphere that was kind of unique, and probably why it lasted so long, 60 years, as this top-tier resort for the elite. It was meant for the whole family for the season.
Okay, that is interesting. Less smoky back rooms, more family time.
Pretty much. And you see that in what they did for fun. Initially, hunting was the big activity.
Hunting on an island.
Oh, yeah. They brought in a gamekeeper, stocked the place with pheasants, turkeys, quail, deer. Members actually had to report their kills each day. Yep. And wild game was often on the menu at the clubhouse. They even had a taxidermist shop right there on the island, if you wanted your prize mounted.
Wow. That's vivid. Did that focus on hunting last? Or did things change?
It definitely evolved. As the club got more established, other things became popular. Golf eventually took over as the main sport.
Ah, golf. Of course.
They had an early course just north of the main buildings. Then in the 1920s, they built a newer oceanside course. And get this, part of that old course, you can still play on it today.
No kidding. That's cool. So hunting, golf, what else filled their days?
Well, there was carriage driving, very popular back then, tennis, bicycling. It was really this self-contained little world of, luxury leisure.
Mm.
designed to keep these very wealthy families entertained.
Okay, so lots of recreation. But you mentioned something else earlier. Something nationally important happened there, not just leisure.
Absolutely. This is pretty amazing, actually. In 1915, right there on Jekyll Island, history was made with the first transcontinental telephone call.
The very first one, from Jekyll.
The very first one. Theodore Vail, he was the president of AT&T at the time, made the call from the island. And on the other end, Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Watson, even President Woodrow Wilson.
Wow, from this private club island, that's incredible. Hard to picture now.
Isn't it? A huge leap in communication technology, launched from this quiet, exclusive retreat.
That's a fantastic piece of trivia. But it sort of sets the stage for maybe an even more significant event, right? Something with a much longer-lasting economic impact.
Exactly. That phone call was big, but what happened a few years earlier, in 1910, that arguably shaped the next century of American finance.
Okay, let's unpack that. What was going on, the context?
So the backdrop is the panic of 1907. It had really shaken the U.S. financial system, big crisis, and it created this huge push for banking reform. People realized the current system was too unstable, too prone to panics. They needed something more centralized, more stable.
Right. The government needed a way to step in, basically.
Yeah, precisely. And the guy leading the charge was Senator Nelson Aldrich, Republican, Rhode Island. He was the chairman of the National Monetary Commission.
Okay.
And he spent almost 2 years studying how banks worked in Europe, looking for ideas, looking for a model that could work for the U.S.
So he does his research, and then comes Jekyll Island.
And then comes Jekyll Island. This is where it gets really fascinating, almost like something out of a spy novel. November 1910. Aldrich gathers this small, very select group for his secret meeting on the island.
Who was there, besides Aldrich?
It was a powerhouse group. You had A.P. Andrews, who was Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, Paul Warburg, a brilliant banker originally from Germany who really understood central banking, Frank Vanderlip, president of National City Bank of New York, which was huge, Henry Davison, a senior partner at J.P. Morgan and Company, Charles Norton, president of First National Bank of New York, and Benjamin Strong, who would later become the first head of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
That's basically the financial world right there.
You're not wrong. Someone calculated later that these men, together, represented something like 1/4 of the entire world's wealth at that moment.
1/4. Wow, okay. And this meeting was secret?
Oh, incredibly secret. The planning was meticulous. They left from Hoboken, New Jersey at night in a private train car belonging to Aldrich. Windows shaded. Absolute secrecy.
How did they maintain it on the island?
They agreed to only use first names, or maybe even code names, some accounts suggest. No servants were supposed to know who these powerful men really were. And the cover story, they told everyone they were just going on a duck hunting trip.
A duck hunting trip with
Yeah.
the heads of the biggest banks and the Treasury Department.
Right. Yeah. Not very convincing if you knew who they were. Bertie Charles Forbes, the founder of Forbes magazine, he wrote about it years later, really capturing the drama. Do you mind if I read a bit of his account?
Please do.
Okay, he wrote. Picture a party of the nation's greatest bankers stealing out of New York on a private railroad car under cover of darkness, stealthily riding hundreds of miles south, embarking on a mysterious launch, sneaking onto an island deserted by all but a few servants, living there a full week under such rigid secrecy that the names of not one of them was once mentioned.
Lest the servants learn the identity and disclose to the world the strangest, most secret expedition in the history of American finance.
Wow. He really paints a picture.
Doesn't he? Just incredible secrecy. And what was the point of all this cloak and dagger?
Right. What did they actually do there for a week? Besides pretend to hunt ducks.
Their mission, as they saw it, was to hammer out a plan to, quote, evolve and compile a scientific currency system for the United States. Basically, design a central bank.
And did they succeed?
In secret.
They did. They worked intensely for that week, hashing out details, compromising, drafting proposals. The result was what became known as the Aldrich Plan.
The Aldrich Plan. I've heard of that. But it wasn't actually adopted, was it?
Not directly, no. Politics got in the way. Aldrich lost influence. But, and this is the crucial part, the ideas in the Aldrich Plan, the core structure they designed there on Jekyll Island, that became the blueprint. Paul Warburg especially was key in bridging the gap between that secret plan and what eventually passed Congress in 1913 as the Federal Reserve Act.
So the Federal Reserve, our modern central banking system, its origins trace back to this secret meeting of billionaires on a private island.
In a very real sense, yes. The DNA of the Fed was assembled right there in that clubhouse under the guise of a duck hunt. It's a pretty staggering piece of hidden history when you think about it. A real aha moment.
Absolutely staggering. So you have this place, steeped in wealth, site of this pivotal secret meeting. But even Jekyll Island wasn't immune to the forces of history, right? What happened next?
No, not at all. The Roaring Twenties were probably its peak, but then came the crash of 1929 and the Great Depression.
That must have hit hard, even for the super rich.
It did. Suddenly, maintaining a membership at such an exclusive, expensive club, it started to feel like an extravagance, even for them. Maybe less necessary, too. So through the 1930s, you see this slow, steady decline in membership numbers.
Did the club try to do anything about it, to adapt?
They did, actually. In 1933, they tried to kind of open things up a little. They created a new category, associate membership. It was cheaper, limited to 150 people. The idea was to bring in some younger blood, boost the numbers, maybe inject some new energy.
And did it work? Briefly.
It helped a bit for a short time. It showed they were trying. But the underlying economic reality was just too tough. The decline continued, maybe just a bit slower.
So the Depression weakened it. What was the final nail in the coffin?
World War II. That really finished it off. The club opened for the 1942 season, same as usual, but by early March, they had to announce they were closing early for the year.
Why then? The war effort.
Yeah, a combination of things. The club's finances were already shaky, as we said, and the war put a huge strain on labor. Getting staff was difficult, travel was restricted, it just became impossible to operate. And that 1942 season, that turned out to be the last one. Ever.
Wow, so it just stopped. Did they think they'd reopen after the war?
There might have been some hope initially, but things moved pretty quickly. By 1946, the state of Georgia had other ideas. The revenue commissioner, a guy named Melvin E. Thompson, came up with a plan. He thought the state should buy one of the barrier islands and turn it into a public state park.
And Jekyll Island was the target?
It was a prime target. So in 1947, the state moved forward. They actually acquired the island through condemnation proceedings.
Condemnation, so like eminent domain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The government essentially forced the sale for public use. They paid the remaining club members $675,000 for the whole island.
$675,000 in 1947. What's that translate to?
Let's see, roughly $7.4 million in 2017 dollars. So still a significant amount, but maybe a bit of a bargain for the state, getting the whole island and all those buildings.
Okay, so the state takes over. Does it become a successful public park?
Well, they tried. They attempted to run the old club facilities as a public resort. But honestly, it didn't really work out financially. It struggled. And eventually, by 1971, the state had closed down that whole operation.
So it looked like the end again?
It might have seemed that way. But thankfully, preservation efforts started to gain traction. The historical significance was undeniable. In 1978, the complex was designated a historic landmark.
Ah, protection.
Yes, and that paved the way for its next chapter. In 1985, after extensive restoration, it reopened. Not as a state-run facility, but as a luxury resort hotel, the Jekyll Island Club Hotel, which is now known as the Jekyll Island Club Resort, bringing it full circle in a way.
Back to its roots as a high-end destination, but now open to the public. That's quite a journey.
It really is. And today, that whole area, the core of the old club, is recognized officially. It's the Jekyll Island Club Historic District. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's a National Historic Landmark District.
So big deal in terms of preservation. How big is this district?
It covers about 240 acres. And within that area, there are still 33 original buildings or structures from the club era that are considered contributing properties to its historical significance. It's an incredible concentration of Gilded Age architecture and history.
33 buildings. That's amazing. People sometimes call it Millionaire's Village, right? Is that what it feels like when you visit?
Very much so. And that's partly intentional. There was a big master plan back in the late 60s by a landscape architect named Claremont Huger Lee. The whole goal was to restore the area to how it looked, roughly, between 1910 and 1929, kind of its heyday.
So you're really stepping back in time. What are some of the key buildings you can still see?
Oh, lots. Of course, there's the original clubhouse from 1887 that's in the Queen Anne revival style, very picturesque, lots of detail. And the annex they added around 1901, which is more Italian Renaissance revival. Then you have the famous cottages, which are, well, mansions by any other name.
Right. Cottage seems like an understatement.
Definitely. There's Cherokee Cottage, Crane Cottage, which is huge, quite grand, and Dubignon Cottage, which is special because it was actually there before the club started.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Then Goodyear Cottage, Hollybourne, Mistletoe, Moss, and the Rockefeller Cottage, which William Rockefeller bought. Just walking around looking at these places, you get a real sense of that era.
It's not just houses, though, right? There were other buildings.
Oh, yeah. Public spaces, relatively speaking. Like the Gould Casino. But casino back then didn't necessarily mean gambling. It was built in 1902 as indoor tennis court.
Indoor tennis, okay.
And Faith Chapel from 1904. It's a beautiful example of shingle-style architecture, more rustic, natural materials. It's got these really unique terracotta gargoyles. And inside, a stunning stained glass window by Louis Comfort Tiffany.
Wow, a Tiffany window, just casually in the chapel.
Just casually. And what's also really cool is how some of the old service buildings have been repurposed.
Oh, like what?
Well, the old power plant from around 1903. That's now the Georgia Sea Turtle Center. Really popular visitor attraction.
That's a fantastic reuse.
Isn't it? And the old club stables from 1897 now house the Jekyll Island Museum. The commissary building where they kept supplies is now a gift shop. Even the old Sans Souci boiler house from 1896 has been turned into a sweet shop.
It's great that they found ways to keep these historic structures alive and useful.
Absolutely. It makes the history accessible.
Is everything still there? Or are there ghosts of buildings past?
There are definitely some ghosts. Some properties didn't survive. Jekyll Cottage, for instance, burned down back in 1941. But you can still see the entrance steps and the outline of its swimming pool. Gives you a little hint of what was there. The Pulitzer Albright Cottage also burned later in the 1950s. And it's important to remember the less glamorous side, too. There was an area called Red Row, which was housing for the African-American staff who worked at the club.
Right. That history often gets overlooked.
It does. And unfortunately, when the state bought the island, those buildings were removed, displaced, and eventually replaced by an amphitheater. So that part of the story is physically gone, but it's a crucial layer of the island's history, not just the millionaires, but everyone who made the place run.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that history has many facets, some preserved in brick and mortar, others only in memory or records. So what a story. We've gone from this ultra-exclusive enclave for the world's wealthiest
The ultimate getaway.
to the secret setting for a meeting that fundamentally reshaped America's financial landscape.
A hidden birthplace for the Fed.
Through decline, near abandonment, and finally, this rebirth as a historic treasure that, thankfully, is now open for everyone to experience. Jekyll Island really packs a punch, historically speaking.
It really does. It captures so much: the Gilded Age, technological change, financial power shifts, preservation efforts. It's all there.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How's that?
Well, thinking about that secret 1910 meeting, the fact that the blueprint for the entire U.S. financial system could be drawn up in total secrecy on a quiet island under the guise of a hunting trip.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling.
It makes you think what other seemingly ordinary, quiet places out there might hold these incredible, untold stories. Stories of decisions made behind closed doors that had massive consequences we're still feeling today.
That's a fascinating question. What other Jekyll Islands are out there historically? Or even, what kinds of secret meetings, maybe metaphorical ones, might be happening right now, shaping the future in ways we won't understand for years to come?
Exactly. What hidden histories are waiting to be uncovered makes you want to look a little closer at the quiet places.